for aggro on the left, Naya Aetherworks on your right. And we will be underway here and watch these two great players in just a moment. Because we do want to thank everybody who is watching at home early this morning. At SCG Live, hashtag SCGINVI all weekend long for your tweets as we get ready here for game number 1 between Ben Friedman and Jim Davis. Friedman going to start off with an Attune with Ether. Going to get himself a basic Mountain. And now Jim with a Toolcraft Exemplar. So both with some 1-mana spells to start.
Jim playing a lot of the threats that you would associate with a flash strategy. Thraben Inspector, Smuggler's Copter, Reflector Mage, Spell Queller, Gideon Ally of Zendikar. The Esper of the deck is essentially Scrap Heap Scrounger. He's also playing Toolcraft Exemplar, so he has a lot of artifacts now to pair with the Exemplar.
Got it, got it. So a little more aggressive a take.
Yes.
Okay. Friedman with a Mountain, he passes the turn back. Jim will now play a Smuggler's Copter. Concealed Courtyard was the land. And now Harnessed Lightning. Looks like it's going to take care of the Toolcraft Exemplar. So Ben will go up to 4 energy, and now we'll go back over to Friedman. Friedman will draw a card.
For reference, Davis here with no swamps in the deck, just 4 copies of Concealed Courtyard.
Tireless Tracker. As we head back over to Jim. He's drawing a Plains for the turn. Does he have blue mana is the question.
I believe he wishes was an island. Not entirely fair because I'm assuming the Concealed Courtyards are replacing plains and not islands.
Most likely, yes.
You know.
We don't want to get into the details.
Right. If you're not going to have bad, misleading takes as a color commentator, what are you even doing? Could go get some other job, you know?
So true.
So true.
So true.
So Davis there with an interesting play, a little non-intuitive, but I like it. Not playing the plains there. He doesn't have any other lands in his hand, and it's so important for him to be able to play a blue spell on time. He wants to be able to play Port Town untapped should he happen to draw it.
Sure. It does look a little weird.
Now, it's at the cost of a Prairie Stream entering the battlefield untapped, but he's got 4 Port Towns versus 3 Prairie Streams.
Ah, so math.
That's math.
That's math right there. Tireless Tracker has made a clue. That's why it's a little bit larger, as Friedman has sacrificed it. And now here's an attack for 4. There's a Vessel of Nascency, and Friedman will pass the turn back over to Davis. Davis will draw a copy of Stasis Snare. Might be time to play that Plains now.
Yep.
See Jim getting an idea how much energy Ben Friedman has to work with. The amount is 6. And Jim will play the Plains. Here's Stasis Snare. Going to take care of the Tracker. And Davis will pass the turn back over to Friedman, who will draw. Picked up a copy of Emrakul. And he's going to play a Marvel and activate it. Top 6. Picks to click. I think it's a touchdown for Ben Friedman.
Assuming with the amount of time this is taking, it's not Emrakul.
I would assume as much. I thought I saw Ulamog in there. Perhaps my eyes have mistaken me. Oh, yes, they are mistaking me because he's not playing any. So, what is in there? Oh, yeah.
Let's try it again.
Big hit. The Marvel this time, I think we can classify that as a whiff. Prairie Stream, that's great play.
Yep.
Got there.
Got it. Although, you know, his hand of Reflector Mage and Spell Callers and Revolutionary Rebuff here, not so good.
Maybe a little late, one could argue. Maybe. Might be a hard game for Jim to win now.
I have the pleasure of working with Luis Scott Vargas, and on our way to lunch earlier this week, he asked, would Revolutionary Rebuff see exactly the same amount of play in Standard if it just said counter target Spider?
And my answer to that question is yes.
Yes, it would be the exact same amount of play.
Jim will play a Spell Queller, turn on the Copter, and it gives some beatdowns. Ben with an Attune with Ether. 2 energy, going to try to reload the Marvel here. There's a Forest. Ben not sure if that's a land he's going to play just yet, so he'll add that to his hand. Now he'll sacrifice the Vessel of Nascent Sea. Top couple of cards, among them a couple Woodweaver's Puzzle Knots. He'll play a land, he'll play a Puzzle Knot. I believe that will give him 3 more energy. He'll gain a little bit of life, he'll activate the Marvel. Jim is going to hope he misses.
Drum roll from the musician Jim Davis.
That is a whiff.
Yep.
The problem is that Ben can just kind of keep doing this.
Yeah, it's not like Davis's clock is so fast that he's easily pushing through the green puzzle knot here. That's a lot of time to go again.
Yeah, Ben is at 20.
Also, Davis isn't beating an Ishkana this game.
No.
So it doesn't have to be Embercold.
They're going to separate card types here. Get an idea of how much Emrakul is going to cast, how much Emrakul is going to cost to cast, and also if Ishkana has Delirium, which it does. Ah, yes, Puzzle Knot.
Like, that's still a hit. I know it's not Emrakul, that's still a hit.
That's still a hit.
That's still totally fine.
I would classify that as a hit. 3 energy, a little more life. That clock is slow. Davis will draw. He'd like a disenchant. He drew a Thalia. Seen worse. There is Thalia. Crew the Copter in for 5. Trigger the Copter. Draw and discard. 3-man Inspector's the draw. What will the discard be?
I mean, I guess this is a function of what do I not want in my hand if I get hit by Emrakul. I imagine there's no way that Davis is surviving that no matter what.
Pretty unlikely. Not a lot of people survive that.
Especially because it's not like all he has to do is just beat the Emrakul. There's a lot going on right now. Friedman's going to be able to fire off that Aetherworks Marvel turn after turn.
Revolutionary Rebuff was the discard. To see the progression here is there's a Kozilek's Return. To see the progression of the Aetherworks decks from what they initially looked like at the Pro Tour to now is pretty impressive.
Well, they were a lot more all in on the combo at the Pro Tour, and you're just not beating the gates that way.
Yeah.
So you got to figure out a different way to manage it.
Oh, a little drum roll here from Jim. Can he? Nope.
Nope.
Nope. You can put the drumsticks down. Emrakul is here, and she is angry. He is none too pleased.
I think of it more as disappointed.
Not that much for her to clean up.
Right, yeah. I mean, this'll do. It's enough, you know.
I hit your stupid helicopter and...
You make him loot away his worst car. I don't know. It's not bad, you know?
Totally fine. Jim will untap. Well, Ben will untap for him. There's a Plains. Perhaps we will crew the Copter. Draw and discard. Ben, what would you like Jim to discard?
I don't know. I would probably just Reflector, get rid of the Reflector Mage here.
Yep. All right. Back to Jim we go. Would you like to Reflector Mage the Emrakul?
I mean, I guess.
Yep.
The alternative is worse. So, sure.
Yeah, you're right. Servant of the Conduit the draw.
And again, Ben just gets to go again.
Yeah. I like this deck. This deck kind of being popularized right now on Magic Online by a Jabberwocky.
Mm-hmm. Magic Online star.
Correct, a.k.a. Logan Nettles, who is, I believe, if memory serves, a cousin of Reed Duke. See, it always somehow comes back to the loaf.
Yeah.
We always find a way to work the loaf into the broadcast.
Andrew Boswell competing this weekend. Fortunately, didn't go well for him.
Residents of the loaf, and I am sitting next to a friend of the loaf.
Not yet. I haven't been officially crowned. It's only been promised. Promises have been made, but it's not official.
I don't think the residents of Sugarloaf would break a promise.
No, that doesn't seem like them at all.
There's too many good, honest people.
Yep.
Ben is going to spin his tires a little bit here as he's up to 3 energy. He will just simply pass the turn back. Scrap Heap Scrounger the draw. Hello. Here's an attack for 4. Going to sack the Puzzle Knot. And now activate the Marvel. What's up? Take a look at Nemricool as the top. Oh, World Breaker, sure. Hi. Yeah, Jim doesn't want to do this anymore. And you know what? I don't blame him. No more, please.
That is something I think that gets overlooked a lot about Aetherworks Marvel strategies, is you think to yourself, well, they've only got to miss the one time. And frequently the deck is able to just go turn after turn. Friedman was going to be able to activate that for every turn for at least another 3 or 4 turns at minimum.
Yeah, yeah. That was the one thing testing for the Pro Tour that I think people kind of realized and what drew so many people to the deck, because it was 20% of the standard decks in day one, which was, yeah, it's not this thing where you activate it and you're like, oh, I missed, I lose. It's like, no, I'm just going to activate it again next turn probably.
Yeah, I got this a lesson on this. I was helping Patrick Chapin test a little bit for the Pro Tour, and he made me play the green-black Delirium side of that matchup against the combo.
It's a good friendship.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really...
How'd that go?
Well, you know, even when he missed it, it didn't really matter. Because if he hit Emrakul, I lost.
Yes.
And if he hit Ulamog, I lost.
Yes.
And if he hit Woodweaver's Puzzle Knot, I also lost.
Nice.
There's just too many hits in the deck.
Yeah, 12 hits.
12 hits.
12 hits.
They don't miss at 12. It's impossible.
Well, we're going to take a look at the sideboards here as these players do sideboard up a little bit here. We'll start with Jim Davis, who's got 3 Selfless Spirit, a Stasis Snare, Negate, 3 Spell Shrivel, Sky Sovereign, Council's Flagship, 2 Fragmentize, 2 Archangel Avacyn, a Thalia Heretic Cathar, and a Declaration of Stone. He does have some counter spells.
Counters. Anything that counters here is valuable. The Negate, the 3 copies of Spell Shrivel. You could go a little bit deeper here. There's arguments for Fragmentize. I think the Thalia is not unreasonable here, but the counter spells are awesome.
For Ben Friedman, 2 Natural State, 2 Kozilek's Return, a Plains, 2 Sigarda, Heron's Grace. That's where the Naya aspect of the deck comes in, along with 4 Galvanic Bombardment, 3 Tireless Tracker, and a Singleton Ulamog.
I wouldn't be surprised if Friedman became more of a red-green mid-range deck for the matchup, anticipating that Davis is going to have a lot of counter spells. So Galvanic Bombardment, the Tireless Tracker, and the Sigardas, along with the Kozilek's Return, seem like a pretty good package here.
Like the build of Ben Friedman's Naya Aetherworks deck. Perhaps we'll have some time to get him into the sideboard. But while these players do sideboard, Jim Davis will be on the play. We will talk about the feature match area here with SCG Live over on twitch.tv. I want to thank everybody for watching at home. Now, if you do join the feature match area, and you can do it a couple different ways, just by subscribing on Twitch or using your new Amazon Prime subscribe. Of course, you get to decide the quarterfinals during our opens here during the Invitational. We, of course, will be taking care of that because we're covering so many quarterfinals. You get to use some custom emoticons and badges. Enjoy the conversation as well. Only $4.99 a month. Twitch.tv/SCG Live. Feel free to join the feature match area today as we get ready here for game number 2 between Ben Friedman and Jim Davis. Now, this weekend, you said you would have probably played Aetherworks?
If I was trying to angle, shoot on low preparation, okay. I think if I could have mastered the Delirium mirror match, that would have been the way that I went. By the way, that Chapin making me play the Delirium side of the Aetherworks Marvel matchup, that is not the worst thing that a friend of mine has ever done. We'll get into that in a moment.
Ooh, I can't wait to hear what that's going to be. Before we do get to that, it's called a slow roll here. See what we do. We tease them, then we do a little advertising, then we tell them. So we're going to learn a bit more about Ben Friedman here. 40 card Friedman, as he is so affectionately known with his cowboy hat. The 23-year-old from Baltimore, Maryland. 9 open top
down
eights.
shirt with tractors on it.
Oh, yeah. That's Ben through and through. He's got a good sense of humor with 1 open win, 4 invitational top 8s. This one could be his 5th as he's 9-0 here this weekend. He's good friends with fellow Magic players Alexander Magellan, Joe Demestrio, and Christian Calcano. Got the nickname 40 card Friedman because he used to dislike playing limited. And he blogs about topics in philosophy. And he likes to activate Aetherworks Marvel quite a bit, too.
There was a point in Standard where I was playing some low-powered mono-red beatdown deck. And
you?
Yes.
Okay.
And this was around the time that Brian Kibler was trying to get back on the Pro Tour, play in events, and grind his way back up.
Okay.
This was many years ago.
Okay.
So he knows that I have this bad mono-red deck. I have the physical cards for it. We live close to each other. And he asks me, will you come over and play test with your mono-red deck? I'm like, can do this. And the deck that he was playing was a Doran deck with several main deck copies of the 1/5 for a green and a white.
I was just like, oh. Okay, I know what you're talking about.
So do you want to play your Tattermunch Maniac deck against my main deck 1/5 for 2 deck?
I just want to get
No, Brian. No, I'm not going to do that. I know you'll feel good. I'm not going to do that.
I just want to get some testing in.
That's the worst. That's the worst example of that.
Yeah.
Because he didn't invite everyone over.
Just
he
you.
invited me over.
Just you. Just you. Well, he wanted to play against an elite mono red player. See if you could wiggle your way through this.
Yeah.
And if you could,
my deck on the table cannot beat a 1/5 for 2.
Just all of your cards.
Just don't ask me to do this.
I just wanted to confirm the 1/5 is good against you.
Right.
I don't know. Read my cards.
Yes, Brian. Yeah, yes.
Yep.
Yeah, my Tattermunch Maniac is dead. Cast Stigma Lasher. Your turn.
Well, it's what it is.
Yeah. It's a vanilla. It's like a giraffe, or I forget what the creature is.
A giraffe?
Or an alpaca. It's some like weird creature type from Warwind block.
Yeah, normally I would know. And I know this card exists.
I remember the artwork pretty distinctly from this playtest session in quotes.
Was it you picking up your cards a bunch? Just, come on.
We didn't get that far into it.
Yeah. I imagine you playing 2 games and just going like, dude, I'm going home.
Yeah. Bogart Ram Gang.
Yeah. with her down a touch.
Yeah. Doran. All right. Well, that's also a lock.
Hey, he's not a Hall of Famer on accident. It's testing like that. Get you in the Magic Hall of Fame. And, 2 Pro Tour wins, but whatever.
Right. Well, this was during the ramp up. This was during.
That's true. He was working his way back.
This is when he was coming back up.
And you played a huge part in that.
I did.
Those testing sessions.
I needed confidence boost.
Yeah.
As Brian is known for lacking confidence. He needed, he needed a shot in the arm from me.
Just down in his luck. I think Jim might be thinking about his hand here. I know we are slightly paused.
Contemplating life's great mysteries. I think something else may be going on at this point as, I know Jim is known for somewhat ponderous play, but just having your hand down on the table, spinning around a clue token while contemplating a mulligan, I think is probably not right.
It takes it to a new low. How about just let me know what's going on with this match while you're sitting here. So we will get a little more information about what we're waiting on.
Someone came through on Twitter with the correct card name, the Grizzled Leotau.
I do remember Grizzled Leotau now.
Maybe not the right block, but around the
Something
same time.
Around there, yeah. Port Town into Thraben Inspector is where we started this particular game for Ben Friedman. He had a game trail. Now he's playing a tune with Ether for a little energy. Just trying to figure out what land he wants to get. It'll be a basic mountain. Over to Jim Davis we go. It's a Plains, attack for 1, and now a Scrap Heap Scrounger.
And this is where the Esper element of the deck comes in.
I would still like to know what that pause was for so I can tell the viewers at a Vessel of Nascency, and a Galvanic Bombardment.
Not surprised to see this out of the board.
No, not really. Slow down Jim's aggressive attack. It's 1 mana to interact. Pretty nice card against Jim's deck.
Also, Friedman has to mix it up a little bit post-board. You got to be anticipating a bunch of negates and spell shrivels and ceremonious rejections and so forth. So as long as you can keep the board intact, if you don't fall too far behind, those counters are a lot worse. You can find other game plans. But when you're under the gun, then you have to play into them.
Davis will play another Port Town Reveal Plains and simply pass the turn back. We're going to go over to Ben Friedman now. He's got his Vessel of Nascency. He's done a nice job of slowing down Jim's aggressive elements with that Galvanic Bombardment. Jim will crack a clue as Ben passes the turn back. Of course, Jim does have to be a little bit worried about Kozilek's return, given the amount of mana that Ben Friedman has available. This is an attack for 1. Friedman will fall down to 17. A Plains, and now a Selfless Spirit. Friedman will sacrifice the Vessel of Nascency. Top 4 cards on the way. Servant of the Conduit, Attune with Aether, Game Trail, and Ishkana.
It's a little bit harder for Davis to play the pure flash game of get some threats into play and then sit back on everything, because he doesn't have Archangel Avacyn, which is where a lot of the flash pressure comes in. He is trying to do it, 1 or 2 damage at a time. And that makes it a lot harder for his build to kind of hold on with a suite of counter spells than some of the more traditional blue-white flash builds that can put a lot more pressure onto the battlefield at instant speed.
Reminds me a lot more of just kind of a fish deck.
Yeah, right.
Just some beat downs and then a couple counter spells.
It's a clock and hold on with 1 counter rather than, sit back with a bunch of counters and a bunch of flash threats.
Here's Traverse the Evenwald for Ben Friedman.
You can see that Friedman with a die on the graveyard there, tracking the different card types, Delirium enabled, and also keeping track of it for Emrakul considerations.
Traversal Resolve. Ben is going to search for something, and it will be a Tireless Tracker.
And I think this is kind of Friedman's post-board philosophy here, is just wear you out with regular Magic cards. And then maybe land an Aetherworks Marvel, maybe even just Ishkana is good enough to win the game. But you're seeing the regular Magic cards like Galvanic Bombardment and Tireless Tracker here in heavy rotation in the post-board games.
Tracker is in as Davis does untap, and now he'll draw a card. Scrappy Scrounger the draw. Island, I believe Reflector Mage in hand as well. In comes the Selfless Spirit. There's an Island. There's the Scrounger. Fast a turn back.
On the surface, it looked really good there for Davis to just go Reflector Mage, your Tireless Tracker, play a Scrounger attack. But that line of play leaves him just dead to Ishkana, so he's got to leave up the Spell Shrivel.
Sacrifice Evolving Wilds right away, Will Friedman, so he can get not 1 but 2 clues. And the land he'll search up looks like it might be a basic forest. It is. So no Ishkana for Jim Davis to worry about just yet.
And Friedman probably respecting the possibility of the counterspell here, so he's going to try to play it a little bit slow. And he can afford to do that because he's not under that much pressure, and the Tireless Tracker will help him accrue more cards and more removal.
And Ben will just pass the turn back over to Jim. Jim is going to draw. Looks like he has found everyone's favorite blue-white land. There's the battlefield tapped. Port Town.
Port Town. Port's closed. Again. It's open like 2 hours a day.
Yeah, it's
you got a really, really tight window to get that thing into play.
Rarely open. There it is. Freeman will sacrifice a clue. Draw a card. Sacrifice another clue. Draw another card. And now we'll head Ben's way as he untaps those 5 lands. We'll see what he's going to be working with on his 6th turn of the game.
And this is sort of what I was speaking to about the Archangel Avacyn being a dimension of this deck that Jim unfortunately lacks is that has to sit back on the spell shrivel and is applying very little pressure. He doesn't have the opportunity to go, okay, you didn't do anything powerful on your main phase, no Aetherworks Marvel, no Ishkanda, now get 4 power into play.
So Woodweaver's Puzzle Knot, going to gain a little bit of life, more energy.
And it makes it grueling work to slog through cards like this, too. That Puzzle Knot represents 3 turns worth of attacking right now.
Puzzle Knot's a really nice card for these decks. You're just trying to buy time a lot of the time.
Yeah, in the pure beatdown matchups, it's your best card. Not so much in the attrition matchups, but post-board, Friedman is less all-in on the combo, and if all he's trying to do is manage damage in the air, then it's still worth several turns. And I mean, right now it's worth 3 the way things are currently constructed.
Reflector Mage.
Reflector Mage.
Looking to bounce the tracker. That'll work. And everybody in. Harness Lightning. Looks like it's going after the Scrounger. Interesting thing about this is that with the way Harness Lightning is worded, Jim has to make his move now with Selfless Spirit if he'd like.
Yep. On resolution, you get to choose. So if Selfless Spirit gets sacrificed, Friedman can just zero it out, pick up 3 energy for his trouble. It's interesting. I'm not sure quite what the point is of giving Davis the option here.
All right, well, he'll sacrifice.
I suppose if he's confident Davis is going to sacrifice, he picks up 3 energy instead of 2. Because Davis could just let the Harness Lightning resolve on the Selfless Spirit. I think you have to have a lot of certainty that that's the case, but if that's Friedman's guess, then he gets an energy on the house.
If you're no sacrifice glue, it's time to untap and draw. There's a land. See what comes next here for Ben. Marvel.
I like casting Spell Shrivel here.
Good choice. That's Davis's last card, so he's got to draw pretty good to beat Ishkana now, I think. Well, he's got one other card in hand. I take that back.
But it's just a land.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to struggle to be Tireless Tracker on the way back next turn, much less the other spells in Friedman's hand.
Friedman going to do a little bit of math. He'll be taking 6 next turn. Could always sacrifice that old Puzzle Knot. And he's taking a look at Harness Lightning, too. It looks like he might just play this right now. Perhaps take care of the Scrounger. A lot going through Ben Friedman's mind right now. All right. There is Harness Lightning to take care of the Scrounger, so he'll be +1 energy after that's said and done. It's up to 10. And now he will search.
Yep. Harness Lightning in the graveyard and Puzzle Knot in play.
Correct.
That's the way to do that.
And Emrakul has been found via Traverse. Well, the end is certainly promised. I believe that'll be happening next turn. Jim Davis with the Prairie Stream. He'll attack here for 3. Play a Gideon. And because he knows Emrakul is on the way, I think we might see him plus. Looks like he'll just make a Knight Ally instead.
I mean, if Friedman wants to get the getting off the battlefield by making an emblem, that's not the end of the world for Davis, so I guess he'd rather have having an extra token in play and then getting emblemed is not that bad.
Okay.
Because you're up the threat anyway.
Sure.
And you also have an emblem, so.
Hubble grants another energy. And now the question is it Emrakul time?
Yeah, Friedman may want just a one-turn window here with his Ishkana on the battlefield first, and then Emrakul. Because just having Emrakul on the battlefield, if you're committed to having Gideon make an emblem here, if you take Jim's turn, then all you have is an Emrakul on the battlefield when Jim takes his next turn. Things could actually get a little shaky. I like taking a turn off here, a little bit of insurance, make sure the battlefield is really sticky, and then go ahead and play Emrakul. That's very safe.
You also open up the ability to use your puzzle knot too.
Right, yeah. It's mana efficient as well. So I know the instinct there for a lot of players is just to slam the Emrakul down on the battlefield, but if you want to get the Gideon off the battlefield by making an emblem, then I prefer giving himself a little bit of cushion to work with first. And the risk is low. The worst case scenario is you have an Ishkana on the battlefield against, Jim's assortment of threats. Not a bad spot to be in either.
Jim will play another Scrap Heap Scrounger. Unfortunately for Jim, I'm not sure if he has many good attacks on this turn. He's just going to make another Knight ally with Gideon and reluctantly pass the turn back over to Ben. Ben is going to sacrifice his Puzzle Knot. More energy and life on the way. All the energy in the world here for Ben. As now his count in his graveyard also goes up to 6. A land. Ah, yes. Count to 7 to play Emrakul.
It's a different story every time.
It is. It is. Something new's about to happen.
Yes. We have never seen this before.
Yeah. All your stuff is dead.
Yeah. Now you're dead.
All your stuff is dead, but you get the next turn. You do get the next turn.
Right.
It's funny when they design cards like this, and I think they did this with Jason the Mind Sculptor too. There's certainly an onus of we're designing a card knowing that it's very powerful for like storyline implications, and like we know what we're signing up for.
Yep.
Like this card was obviously meant to be powerful.
Right. Yeah.
And it is exactly that. Like it's not going to take anyone by surprise. Like this is Emrakul is a huge figure in the story of Innistrad's return. It's obviously a very powerful card in the story of the game. It should be this good. Maybe it might be a little too good.
During previous season, a lot of the contrarian elements of my social media feed were like, this card's not good, too expensive. And I said, it's kind of a hard card to process because a lot of it just depends on how easy is it to get card types in the graveyard, and that's dependent on the card pool, et cetera, et cetera. But it looks like it could be powerful, and R&D is not going to miss with this one.
No.
They are going to make sure.
Yeah.
And they did. And now it's a new story every time.
Yeah. It's just the balance of, is it too powerful? Like Jace was too powerful.
Well, it's power and it's play pattern, right? If you got mind-slavered one of every million games of Magic you played, it would probably add to your fun because it's just a different thing.
Sure.
Getting mind-slavered once in every 4 games that you play,
A little less fun.
it's the same joke each time.
Yeah.
It stops being fun.
And then being attacked for 13.
At least it kills you quickly. That's nice.
That is always good. That's the argument that you love to go to as well. If I'm going to get annihilated by a card, at least I die fast.
No, that's it. I think that's a very real thing.
Yeah, that's important. Hardest Lightning is going to take care of the Spell Queller that was going to try to take care of the Tireless Tracker.
It's part of what makes Jace the Mind Sculptor so bad, is your beat, but it takes so many turns for the game to actually end. Mm-hmm. Emrakul, on the other hand, I mean,
not so much.
Jim could have conceded, I suppose. He's going to instead play it out, but it's over fast regardless.
Yes. And Ben is going to sacrifice the clue from the Tireless Tracker and get himself a new card.
A lot of things, even things that are pretty horrible, can be fun or add texture in very small doses. I do not believe Mindslaver to be one of those things.
That's reasonable. That's reasonable.
But I also don't think it's the end of the world.
Jim's going to draw Gideon,
to be honest.
And he will extend the hand. Ben Friedman's going to win this match here over Jim Davis, 2-0. Now Aetherworks will take care of Esper Aggro. And for Ben Friedman, it's not 40 cards, it's 60 of them. And he's doing real good at that. He is 10-0 here in Atlanta.
Davis just did not have the balancing act required of pressure plus disruption slash